Nick Durant here with Tattoo University. When you're tuning your machine and when you're picking a tattoo machine, you want to look at the frame and take the frame into consideration. The material it's made out of, these are aluminum so that they won't rust, and they're anodized, actually pretty strong. And when you get a really thin frame like this, they have a tendency to bend. I got this one from somebody trying to fix it up, and I had to bend it back because you have to keep your 90-degree angles. And if somebody has this who isn't taking care of it, this can get bent, your rear deck can get bent, and you lose that 90-degree angle. And if you look at these machines, they're pretty sturdy, they're forged, the frame is thicker. Your machine vibrates. The more vibration, the more painful a tattoo is, and it affects certain things, so you want less vibrations. So a frame that's nice and thick that can eat some of that vibration is better than a really thin frame. I really don't like these frames like this. I see a lot of cheap kits with these frames. Not my favorite. It's up to you, but I wouldn't buy them. Talking about what the machine frame is made out of, this machine frame is plastic. And when you're doing, again, this came to me all busted up. I was just messing with it, trying to fix it. But on a metal frame, you want to make sure none of your wires are touching your metal, and you want to use plastic washers. But on a plastic frame, you want to use metal washers to make sure you have that connection, because you're not worrying about anything connecting to your frame. So again, you just have to think about your frame, the style, what it's made out of, and how it affects your tattoo machine and how you're tuning. With these frames, I want to show you what I'm getting at here. The rear deck is at an angle. It's not flat. It's a little bit of an angle here. These machines have no angle, flat across. This one, flat across. These, because they are angled, will put more tension on your springs, because your armature bar, instead of going flat like this, will actually be at an angle like this, and that puts more tension. And if your machine has to pull down really hard and it's got an extreme angle, it's pulling, and like this one came with tension on the rear spring that was over 700, your machine is going to overheat. So what I did with these machines, you need to take off some of the tension. I still left this one with about 500. I might take a little bit of that off, but before it was off the charts. It was way up here. Now it's down here. So this machine's going to have a tendency to heat up more than the other machines because it needs to work harder to pull this armature bar down. So be aware of that. With these machines, you need to take off some of the tension because it has plenty of tension, and the frame itself is helping that tension in the back. So you might consider, you don't want to go up on your rear spring in the gauge. You might want to go to a thinner rear spring or stick to 18 gauge spring on the back. You go higher, you're going to have a ridiculous amount of tension. Now, with a machine like this, you can bend your rear spring to give it more tension, but on a machine like this, I don't bend my rear springs. I just wait till I put them on, and then I adjust the tension accordingly. Which a lot of these I might actually bend them down to take off some of the tension. So with this machine, these are the springs that came with it. Now, we didn't use those springs on this machine because we wanted a fast liner. On this machine, we don't want, you buy these kits and you have 3 fast liners. That's not going to do you any good. So we're going to put the springs that came on it that are more of the shader springs, and we're going to make this machine run a lot slower. These are the springs that came with this machine. I have a coin on the back, flat. It's going to act like a flat washer. Everything I'm doing, it's not with the most expensive equipment. I'm intentionally showing you things that anybody can get their hands on. To show you that anybody can do this, it's not rocket science, it's not black magic. It's just a little adjustments and a little knowledge and a lot of practice, and you will be doing this without even thinking about it. A lot of people will go to rotaries, I feel, just because they don't know how to tune a coil machine. Now, I have nothing against rotaries. I love rotaries, but I feel like you should still learn how to tune a coil machine, and I feel like if you are starting out, this is knowledge that you should have. One of the reasons why I feel like new artists should learn about coil machines is so they can learn how to adjust their machines so they can tattoo differently and learn how to make different marks with their tattoo machines with different setups. Another good reason why you should learn how to use coil machines is because if you're buying cheap rotary machines, they like to break. That one broke. That one broke. My whip, cheap knockoff, broke. So sad when this one bit the dust. My favorite one right here. But now it's time, now that I know I like these machines, now it's time to buy a good one. So coil machines are less likely to break on you than a cheap rotary machine. And you can mess with them more, you can adjust them more. You have more options with a coil machine. And that's why I like messing with these so much, because you can do so much with them. A rotary machine, it's kind of, you get what you get. You can adjust the stroke length, but a lot of these machines, you just use them how they come. With a coil machine, you can adjust it if you know what you're doing. We set this one up, and now we're going to look at our tension. And we are at a little over 300, which is exactly where we want to be at on this machine. This machine has a higher tension. I intentionally did that. This machine has a higher tension. It runs faster. It's got a fatter front spring. This machine is got a lower tension, a thinner front spring, and it's going to run slower. I'm going to show you that right now. Okay, again, we are looking at our numbers. Okay, we're looking at our numbers to make our adjustments. Let's see how this one's going to run. Alright, need to adjust it. So our duty goes up to 55. Okay, so to make that adjustment, it was a small adjustment. I moved the contact screw. Okay, so this time we have a wider gap, more of a nickel gap, and we have a slower running machine. "18 gauge springs," I haven't changed any of that, but just a wider gap and a heavier armature bar. So this machine's going to run a lot slower. And I'm going to show you the difference here. Here's our fast liner. Look at our cycles per second, 150 cycles per second. So this is running a lot faster. I always tell you guys about building up your lines, and I always get these comments that you can't go back over a line without causing too much damage and scarring somebody up. But here's the thing. That would be true with a fast liner. But if you're doing lines with a machine like this, you're running at about 100 cycles per second. That's 50 cycles per second less than the other machine. And if you look at your stroke, it's a lot longer. I don't have a lot of tension on this front spring here. It's just touching the contact screw, so you're not doing as much damage. I can build up lines and line with this. I can go over the line twice if I needed to. If it's fine the first time, I'm not going to go over it. To line with this machine, I use a slower hand speed. Slow machine, slow speed. Slow, meticulous. Stretching, slowly tattooing to get dark lines. A fast machine, faster movement, faster lines. You make sure you hit that line once, and it's a nice dark line, and you're moving on. You're not coming back to it. One-liners, this is the machine you're using. A slower machine, I can do a line, and if I need to fill in a little area, I can fill in a little area. If I need to do a little shading, I can whip this out, do a little shading. If I need to build up a line, I can do some circles and then come back and outline it to get that outline nice and crisp. If you read Guy's book, Reinventing the Tattoo, it talks about this machine setup. When I was first learning how to tattoo, I learned how to tattoo by myself by reading books. Some of the first books I read described setting up the liner to run slower. So that's what I got used to. And then I found this book, Reinventing the Tattoo, and it explained the same thing. And that's how I set up my liners. And if you read this book, it'll explain how it works. So you can set up your liners differently. If you have a machine like this, these are great little liners. I wouldn't really set this up as a color packer. You can try a shader if you set it up in this manner. You can line with a shader like this. It's just slower, so you have to adjust your hand movements. When you do a tattoo, you decide, does it have really thick, bold outline that I can just do a single pass on? Maybe I want to use this machine. Do I want to make it look really artsy, a lot of shading? Maybe I want to use this machine. It's set up more like a shader, but you're going to be using it to line with. And it's not going to do as much damage as this machine will. You can work an area a little bit more. You can take your time. You don't have to rush things. You can do more little details with a machine like this, set up in this manner. So if you don't have a tension gauge, I might recommend that you get one. People do this a little differently. Some people like to put it on the armature bar nipple. I like to use it back here because this is the instructions that I got. Said to place this back here on top of your armature bar. Wherever you're doing it, just make sure you do it at the same place every single time, because if you switch, you're not going to get the same reading. To get an accurate reading, use the same spot every time. You see, this machine only has 300 grams of tension. That's not a lot. That's more of a liner, tension for a liner. And to get that, I had to take my spring. So I'm going to show you how to adjust your tension here. We set up our tattoo machine, and then we check our tension. When the armature bar touches the front core, that's when we know how much tension we have. So this one has 400 grams of tension. Let's say I want less tension because of these machines and the angle back here. Usually I get too much tension, so we want less. So all I'm going to do is loosen this up. I'm going to turn this to the side, and I'm going to push down on this just a little bit, and then I'm going to put it back in place and check my tension again. Make sure your screw back here is tight, or else it'll give you the wrong reading, because this will put more tension on the rear spring. So now we check it again, and we have not done it enough. I have about 500. So if you needed more tension, you would go up, giving it more tension. It's going to push. So if you want more tension, you go up. If you want less tension, you go down. We want less tension, so I'm going to go down some more. Again, because of this rear deck being angled, these machines usually get a lot of tension on them. So you kind of got to take it out a little bit. Alright, now, there we go. Now we're about 350, and that's about where I want it. So now when I go to tattoo, I have my options. I have a fast one-liner. I have a machine that I can build up my lines, or I can shade with it. And I have a shader, and if I turn up my voltage on this one, color packer, because this one will pack color, but this is my shader. And then I have one, I haven't quite decided what I want to do with this one yet. I've kind of gone back and forth. It allows me to adjust it. We're talking about the frame still. This has an adjustment, so I can move my contact screw back if I want to make it faster, or forward if I want to make it slower. So I have that option right here because I can move this around. These are fixed, they're in one position. I can't move these back and forth. If I wanted to adjust these, I have to move my contact screw angle. With this one, I can actually move the position of my contact screw to make it faster or slower.